Okay, today we're going to start working on Excel. Excel is a spreadsheet program and it's good for working with numbers. It's good for organizing numbers. It's good for doing mathematical calculations and manipulating numbers. It's good for sorting and all kinds of things. So you guys have an icon on the side of your screen. It's a green X. And so if you just click to start that, Excel will open for you. I'm going to go to my Start menu, and if you're on one of the laptops, you'll also have to use the Start menu to get to it. It's a Microsoft program, so you may have to go to the Microsoft folder in the Start menu. So when you click on it, it will open up. Mine's taken a little minute, so I'll just sit and pause and wait for it to come on up. Okay, yours may pop up looking like this. If it does, you need to just double click on blank workbook and your workbook will open up. Excel is organized on a grid system where we have columns which go up and down, and we have rows which go side to side, and they intersect and they form these boxes and this grid pattern. These boxes are called cells, C-E-L-L, a cell. And each of these cells has an address. The address is given by using its column header, which is a letter, you see in this case B, and its row label in this case is a number 3. So if I'm in this cell, for instance, I'm in cell B3. And right here in the name box, it shows you what the name of the cell is where I am. So if I click around in different cells, watch this name box change. F3, F7, C7, B2. So wherever I click on the screen, it will tell me the name of that cell. My cursor takes on different functions depending on where I have it on the screen. Right now, my cursor looks like a plus sign, and it's because I'm in the cell area. And anytime I'm in the cell area, my cursor is going to take on that plus sign. If I go to my column heading area up here, my cursor turns into a black arrow that faces down or points down. And if I click in that cell or in that box up there with the letter C or with any of these letters, I'm selecting that entire column. And you'll see that as far as I can scroll down, that column is selected. And the same thing happens over here when I put my cursor inside the row labels where the numbers are. It turns into a solid black arrow that is facing to the right. And if I click one time in one of those numbered areas, then it selects that entire row. And as far as I can scroll over, you can see that that entire row is selected. Now this helps me when I am trying to do some formatting and resizing, because I can select more than one row or column at a time and make changes to it. There's one other cursor shape that I want to point out to you, and if you'll see, look on the screen right here, between the columns and between the rows there's a line, and this is called a grid line. So on the grid line between two columns or between two rows, your cursor takes on a double-sided arrow facing either up and down or left and right. So if I'm on a column grid line, then I can I can click one time and hold it down, and I can drag to the left to make my column more narrow, or I can drag to the right to make my column wider. So here's what I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you to find the column guide or grid line between column A and B. Put your cursor up here on it until it turns into this black arrow that's facing left and right. And then I want you to click and hold down, and I want you to drag column A over to size 24. And you see what the numbers that are moving up there as I drag it over. I want to make this width 24. And you may not be able to get exactly on 24, but get as close to it as you can. So you see that I have changed the width of column A and made it wider. Now I also want to change the width of column B, C, D, E, and F, but I don't want to have to do this 5 times. I want to do this 1 time. And the way that I can do that is by selecting all of these columns at once. So I go to column B and I put my cursor up there in that box and I click and hold down, and I'm going to drag over until I get to column F, and then I'm going to let go. And so you see I've selected all of columns B through F at the same time. Now I can put my cursor on the line between any of these 2 columns, and I click and hold down and drag this over to size 18. So go ahead and do that. Make your size 18. And you'll see that all 5 of them changed the width at one time, because I had them all selected at the same time. So keep that in mind. Anytime you have multiple areas selected, whether it's entire columns, entire rows, or just a small section like this, the area that you have selected, any changes that you make up here will apply to that entire area. Okay, so because I had B, C, D, E, and F all selected at the same time, I changed one of them. They all changed column width. Okay, the next thing I want to do is the same thing for my rows, except I want to start with row 2 this time. We're going to come back to row 1 and do some different stuff in it later. But first I want to click and hold down 1 time in row 2 and drag down to row 15 and let go. I have all of rows 2 through 15 selected. And just like I did with my column widths, I can adjust my row heights by putting my cursor on the line between 2 rows, click and hold down and drag it down. I want to make them size 30. Make it 33, I think. 33. And you'll see because I had all of those rows selected together, they all changed their height. Okay, now I'm going to go back and work in just cell A1, and I want to do some typing of text here. So I want to type the word name, put a space, open parenthesis, and put my first and last name and close parenthesis. So you're going to put your first and last name here in parenthesis after the word name, and then to move to the next column, you're going to hit the tab key on your keyboard, and you'll see it jumps me to the next column. So now I'm going to put titles in each of the next 5 columns, and I'm going to start with B1, and I want to name it Favorite. Well, I'm having trouble with my typing here. Favorite Sport. And because this is a title, I need to be sure to capitalize the first letter of each major word, which means that the F in favorite and the S in sport will be capitalized. Please make sure that you do that correctly for all of your titles, because that will be part of your grade. Once again, I'm going to tab to the next column. This time I'm going to name it Favorite Car. I'll tab to the next column, and I'm going to name it Favorite Color. Tab to the next column and name it Favorite Food. And then the last column, we're going to name Favorite Class. And then I hit the Enter key and it takes me back to the beginning of the next row. Okay, so these are pretty small, and I actually want to do some formatting on this entire first row. So in order to do that all at once, so I don't have to format each cell individually, I'm going to select the entire first row, remember by putting my cursor where the number 1 is, click 1 time to select it, and then I go up here. This is my editing toolbar where I can change font and size and all that kind of stuff. The first thing I want to do is hit B for bold, and this is a toggle, which means if you click it again, it'll turn it off. Once again, it'll turn it back on. And that makes my words darker and thicker. I want to go here to the size, and I want to make this size 18. Look what happens when I do that. Some of my words get cut off. That's okay. We'll fix that in just a moment. The next thing I want to do, in fact, we'll go ahead and fix that now. Again, this is a toggle here in the alignment section. See, this toolbar is broken into different sections, and this section is called alignment. I want to choose wrap text, and look what it does. It takes the words that are too long to fit in the width of that column, and it wraps them to a new line. Now this is looking better, but it's still not quite what I want. I want to clean it up a little bit more. So to make it look a little neater, I'm going here again to the alignment section, and I want to choose center. And you'll notice that it centers my words for me from left to right. That's called horizontal spacing or horizontal centering. I also want to center my words vertically. So if I go right above that and click the middle align, it's going to center my words horizontally, and you see, vertically this time, and you'll see that that cleans it up and makes it a much neater look. All right, that's all that we're going to do from this layout tab, from the home tab. I'm going to go to page layout next. And the first thing I want to do here is choose my orientation. Portrait means the paper's going up and down like this. Landscape means the paper's going side to side, and that's what we want. So let's choose landscape. And when you do that, you see these dotted lines pop up here. That shows you what's going to fit on one page. So just glance at it real quickly and make sure that all of your columns and all of your rows are fitting inside the upper left area of those dotted lines. Okay, also in this tab, in the next section called Sheet Options, is where we see grid lines. And right now they're set to view. If I take that off, then you can see my grid lines go away. I want to leave that on because I do want to see my grid lines. But I also want to check print for grid lines so that when I print this, it's going to print those lines as well, and it keeps my chart much neater for printing. One last thing that we're going to do here from this screen, I want to select just certain cells. I don't want to select the entire row or the entire column. I want to start with cell A1, click and hold down and drag over to F1, and then I want to keep holding it down and drag down to F15 so that I have selected this rectangular area from A1 to F15. Now notice I don't have all this area over here or down here selected, and that's because I don't want to print that stuff. I just want to print the boxes that we formatted for our chart. I'm going to go back up to the page setup area, choose print area, and choose set print area. That tells the computer that this is what I want to print. I don't want to print all this stuff over here. I just want to print the stuff that's in this rectangle. Okay, now I can go back to File, and I need to choose Save As, choose Computer, choose Browse, and you'll go over here and find your Z drive. I'm just going to go ahead and put mine on the desktop because mine won't be erased. You're going to name it Survey, but make sure you put yours in your Z drive so you don't lose your work. SURVEY, and hit Save, and it's going to save a copy of it in your Z drive. Okay, the last thing we need to do is print. So we're going to go from the File menu. We're going to choose Print, and we're going to see what's called a print preview here, which is showing me what my printout will look like. There are a couple of things I need you to check before you go on to print. I need you to make sure, first of all, that your titles are correct up here and that your capitalization is correct, because remember, that's part of your grade. I need you to make sure that your grid lines are showing up like you see here. And I need you to look down here and make sure it says 1 of 1, because we want to make sure this fits on one page. If all of that is correct, then you can go right here to where it says Printer and choose the one that's called PRN1. Mine's called Student Printer, but yours is called PRN1. And select that here. Make sure you're set to one copy, and you can hit the print button. and then it will print your file. And you'll go pick up your file from the printer and sit quietly and wait for further directions.